Absolutely. So a big shout out to that team. We'll keep watching and see how they do, but you see stacks of cash. The teams see a plane. You got to jump before you can cash in. It is time for game number 3 to get underway. Only 5 to play today to set yourself up for a big Sunday and a massive payout. Let's go now to the beautiful islands of Erangel, powered by Intel and voiced by the golden gods of Sims and Toby.
You see plane, I see game. Game 3 is about to start. We move from Miramar to Erangel. MCG, 28 points all the way up at the top. And what a wild, honestly, I just kind of want to, there's no real other way to round it off. That last game in Abundance, what an absolute wild banger of a final matchup. VP versus MCG. Again, VP on the low ground. Probably should have gone out earlier. But what a final stand, Toby. What a final stand to put up against them.
Oh, it was incredible. Ever since we went down to 5 teams left alive, I feel like Multi-Circle Gaming did everything completely textbook perfect up until that very last fight against Virtus Pro. Were they overexposing themselves on the hillside where they didn't have to? Maybe. It could also just be, which is very likely, that Virtus Pro were just hitting shots that you can't really do much about. I mean, sometimes you peek a corner, someone instantly double headshots you, and you could go, sure, you should have maybe done something in return, but with the level of play we're seeing in these type of tournaments, sometimes you just can't really do a whole lot in response. And that first knock from Hirus and that for sure was one of them. It came in, he barely even peeked outside the window, and instantly Evil Lee fell down, and that opened up an entire site for them to push in now. Well, let's see down here. Meta, they were in the end game last game. This time around, get out of that car. You don't want to be there. Does Longsker go for it? No. Wise choice. Saw people land the compound. Don't expose yourself. Get away, get away, get away, and get yourself looted on up.
So we start up in the north and we head down towards the west this time round. We will see a northern circle come in. There's quite a lot of the land up towards past the river that runs from Pollyanna to Georgia Pole, so maybe we see a shooting range engine somewhere around that kind of neck of the woods. We shall find out with the next circle. It'll be the telltale sign. We could still get the 50-50 split crossing the river. Those circles are absolutely horrible because it really is a coin toss of where you want to be sitting. But again, some teams know how to kind of work with this. They've learned for many years in Abundance, the 2-2 splits, the putting yourself in that old position of making sure you're in a good position to be able to receive whatever these circles throw towards you. For everyone else down towards the south, a little bit longer to get inside this circle. Maybe in Abundance you'll see a few of them kind of sitting towards the south end of the circle just because of the time it's going to take to get up there. For other teams, there is a possibility of maybe running it on the coastline. Georgia Pole's always a bit messy if any team's going to be lurking within the building. It's not somewhere you want to find yourself, especially because it's all the way up against the edge of the circle. Yasnaya, Na'Vi can play this one late if they want to, and whether or not they catch other teams in the late rotation is a different question altogether. Again, Na'Vi, we said before, Toby, they're not going to be someone who just goes dive bombing center just for the fun of it.
No, I mean, if there's a lobby, they could do it, and it should be this one. I'll go back to that in a second. But no, I mean, I agree with you. Na'Vi probably opting to sit with 2 on the west side of Yasnaya, maybe over towards the gas station, and then also maintain some sort of control up towards the north of that northwest of Yasnaya compound. We've seen them play around so many times before. But as I was just saying, I mean, this lobby, it doesn't really have that many center aggressive teams in it. It does have some, but overall, I mean, it's a pretty quiet lobby in terms of early game aggression. Of course, as long as you don't run your teammates over, that is. But for this team in particular, I mean, that's why we saw both last game and the game before around phase 4, phase 5. One of the teams, at least in my mind, also having covered EU for so long, it's the Na'Vi style of play. You can kind of say where you try and avoid confrontation for the portion of the first 4, maybe even 5 circles if you can do that, and then you start going heavy later on. And that's why we've seen so many teams already coming in with 4 alive until the very end, and then going kind of pedal to the metal. And there are a lot of those type teams here: Genji, Virtus Pro, Na'Vi. It's a very mid-late game heavy fighting set of teams we have here.
Meta Gaming, we're on your screen for all but a moment, and we'll stay in it for now. I can't even go further because I've been seeing this one unfold in the map for quite some time. E36 were just driving straight towards MCG. Now, whether or not this was just drawn their attention, because there is a drop around this area, so whether or not they've gone for the drop, okay, there's a Vector in play. We know what kind of game this is going to be. Pure Boy gets a response onto one and removes it. Tanks turned up off the back of the buggy to see if anyone's inside the garage. They do have a player on the opposing side who is upstairs, disconnected from the rest of the team. It is a two-man band that will kind of sit that one. Lingdu on the outside. Now, he could be the real spoiler. It depends how aggro E36 wants to get here. How you know, who makes the first wrong move? Who's the one that wants to try and breach and get more fragging points?
I like the way that Evil Lee is maneuvering here. He knows he has a teammate over in the garage house on the other side. He knows he has Lingdu on the hillside. So if you're going to force a fight on the side of the compound where your teammates can actually help you out. Tank peeks on over, gets tacked on up. And I got to say, I mean, I did say coming into last game that Encephalus was going to be one of those Joker teams. Oh, that nade could have been golden. Well, it's going to be one of those Joker teams as I was expecting to see more aggression from them than what I've seen in the weekly survivals and on their team as a whole. But seeing them pull up in a compound phase 1, I was not ready for this one.
Now all three of them are just kind of clumped up in here. Lingdu still lurking in the distance, and I do see a bolt action on him, so whatever happens here. They're not, I was about to say, I don't see multigaming maybe shedding all their utility until a potential knock comes through. If they get that one knock on the bolt action from the wilderness. Oh, okay, well all this noise has drawn some attention. Tension has instantly noted, though. That's the thing. Multi-circle gaming, thankfully, having Tank up there has given them the info that DA are just trying to pick up some scrappy points if they can, and you know, it's a perfect opportunity to do so. The thing for DA is they just need to make sure that if they do get involved in this, they get a point, they get a knock, they do something, then they pull away from it. Don't commit to this. There's no point in losing players at this stage and just getting, you know, messy. Yeah. Really messy PUBG and losing a player for the sake of not even grabbing a point or even 1 point. I don't think it's worth DA's time.
No, I mean, third parties are extremely hilarious until those guys you're third partying start shooting back at you, and especially if they start doing damage towards you as well, all of a sudden, you got to think twice about what your next move's going to be. So really, really liking the fact that DA, they came up, they thought they maybe were able to get an off angle on one, take one out, and then back off. They see them immediately being spotted, and they just say, you know what, okay, we tried, now we know who's up there, let's just back off of that one, and that's timing right there. Wait, okay, interesting. Either way, that happened. I'm sure that M200 gave him a first aid and a few boosters to get himself back to full HP.
I think some meds and a simple apology won't fix it. This is fine. This is totally fine. Amonot's reloading the double barrel, so clearly anticipating the potential compound breach. Both teams losing one individual player. I don't foresee them really doing anything, especially given the position on the map. I mean, hell, they can survive this circle, next one, potentially even the third one after. We shall see how it does fare. Both they will take the full bridge commitment coming off the back of Sosnovka. The only team I think down in Sosnovka, I do believe. This was a shot from Lingdu. I did see this one in the kill feed, but I didn't actually clip who it was or where it was from. Oh no. Oh my God.
Wow.
Thank you,
observers. They repeated that. That was just for you. That was just for you, Sims. They gave you a repeat of that one. I'm sure of it. Just for you. And then you're the one casting to the end. They're like, you know what? We know he loves his bolts, and whew, that's the drive-by counter when you can just one-shot people out of cast like that. That's pretty terrifying. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, big fan. Big fan. It doesn't spell nothing for in the long term of it. The revive does come through at least on the side of DA, but it is most certainly that warning shot that they needed to wake them up. A little bit of a, yeah, I'm glad we've actually moved to Gen G because it just gives some information on what we're going to be doing on the transition here. DXG are actually parallel to Gen G. So Gen G are just by hospital, but DXG is just a hop, skip, and a jump on the coastal road to the left-hand side of them. Now, if Gen G don't stop a hospital, they will actually catch them potentially, or at least they'll see them at the cross junction of the Western Georgia Port Bridge. T1's on the opposing side of it. They're not inside North Georgia itself. They've moved more to the green grassy pastures just to the right-hand side of it. Again, you don't want to get caught in those buildings. There's no point, given that it's all the way up against the circle's edge, given that the water's there as well. It's not going to go there. So committing now to Georgia Pole is just stupidity, and you're asking, like, to be in a bad position once the circle updates. Metagaming, Yasnaya, working the way around it. Na'Vi is rather sporadically spread out and probably catches meta a little bit by surprise, to be fair. Both of these teams actually are all in single individual areas, and no one's really even a 2 or 3 man band whatsoever. Oath are also getting involved in that eventually. They are on that transitional path, so just be aware of it. I think for everyone else, it's, apart from the mountainside, Toby, it's pretty much, it's pretty fairly quiet.
I do like how Gen G is playing this one, even though they've given up Georgia Pole in terms of looting. They're coming back up here and they're saying we'll try and rotate out the way we normally do. And this circle, well, if they're fast enough, they can get something from it. And Onyx goes back into the vehicle immediately. Vanotika is over the hilltop, but I'm not sure he's in a position to get an angle on it. Nope, not going to happen in multi-circle gaming. Another benefit of getting Evil Lee out of that building was that should they need to, they can now disengage towards the east, and that's exactly what they do. And they even get a crate on their way down towards the south. So smart play. I think it was looted already, but at least they do get down here. They do get down here, they do get away, because everyone is sending their road down towards the south.
I went to the one place that a lot of these players were hoping it would not. The water now comes into a massive effect. It cuts 2 sides of the map off perpendicular, and with the Snaky River as well, it actually folds into the ruins. It's really probably a 60-40% chance this goes down towards the south, and we still have that minuscule opportunity that goes up towards E36 and where the crate's still sitting. You can see how things are going down just by looking at this POV. Just dragging the car through the grass, hoping that somehow he stays alive. Evil Lee, first victim to fall for MCG on this transition. I don't think it's possible to... Actually, there's no one really over there with him, so maybe the revive is possible, but it certainly put a lot of people out of place. This shift as a whole, it's kind of scattered everyone. It's really thrown everything you were trying to build up to the wind.
I mean, coming into this rotation, there was a vast majority of players up towards the north. So having teams now come down south, and obviously no one wanting to cross the bridges if they don't have to, means they have to rev all the way back over east, or come in all the way back towards the west. And for the few teams that were down here already, trying to claim something in the center where there really isn't a whole lot to claim, just meant for teams trying to spread out, take control. You can see here, Wicked and Meta, they were one of the first teams down here, trying to find themselves into the dip in between the compound and the field. And they're getting peppered from all angles now because they simply opted to play in the open too early on in the game.
All these vehicles are just without tires. Like, yeah. I mean, you won't be rotating too much anyway. Once you've kind of committed to that area, that's really where you're going to be staying probably for the next two or three circles. We'd anticipate it comes down towards the south, and this isn't really a bad area to be working on the back of. You do have a lot of larger gaps you need to be aware of, especially if someone sets them up inside the buildings in front of them. That's where it really becomes problematic for working the Badlands areas, people like to call it, or the ridges and the spines that run through that. Like, it's workable, but once you get someone over by Water Tower, once you get someone maybe even by inside the pool of school, you get people in the buildings in front of you, it's like, well, really, there's nothing else we can do about just hide behind a vehicle and bop us heads down and hope for the best. Neil's hoping for the best with that driving, and so far the driving has been rather interesting this game. But you know what? Let's cheer everybody up. Here's a code. Come on, left-hand side, get it in while everyone else on transitions before this mad amount of action is about to unfold, because everyone still is waiting for this next shift, and what it's going to do to the lay of the land, I have absolutely no idea.
No, keep in mind, everyone, this one can still include all the water it wants to, as long as it doesn't center on it. And last circle, circle 1, we had 5 teams in the south, 11 on the north. This time around, we have 3 up towards the north, and the remaining 13 down south. We saw what kind of chaos kind of came through as that last circle went in the opposite direction of what we expected it to. Now let's see where this one is going. No, it cannot exclude water next circle. It can go anywhere. Next circle can go anywhere. There's no way we exclude all the water with the next shift. It should not be possible. Have fun guessing, everyone. There's a roulette circle for you.
I mean, you'd have to, what? Because you've got an island in the middle, maybe northeast? Surely. Because even Watertown comes down, there's still some areas that you can't stand up in within those regions, and that's what it kind of quantifies of inaccessible terrain. Smash Onto infantry, 9 on the rotation, comes through Watertown, is spotted instantly. And again, this is just going to be like kill feed casting. This will be manic, this will be messy, this will be all kinds of disastrous for many teams. It's really all about how many players you can bring in, and metagaming just like that. Day trade says thank you very much. That's 4 free points. We take them, we put them in the bag, and Meta go flying out of the lobby. Sonics, we hop on board with them. They're faring no better. Are they even inside this circle at this point? They are. They're just below ruins. They've at least made it in. But T1 have clear vision on what's going on here. Esther decides, you know what? Stuff the vehicle. We don't need it. It's fine. It's flipped. Don't bother flipping it back. Just get in and go, because we also are not inside this circle. Rosshawk has 4 teams in it, and it's against the edge. What is going on? I mean, to be fair, that's a good shot. If you were going to go somewhere like that, looks good for a circle.
I would think southeast as well, down towards Rossok, and that's why you can see so many teams opted to go in this direction, because they're probably thinking the same. We haven't had any more teams up to try and go up towards the north, because there really isn't a whole lot to play. Interfalls 36 and Tianpa are the only ones up there. And also, we don't have anyone on what I like to call Bermuda, the little island in the middle there. There's no one playing, so it's phase 3, but the players right now are playing as if it's phase 5 in terms of how much terrain they're really able to take control of.
Oh, Snakers, you've got a nade. Go on, go up high and just throw it in there. Like that ditch that they're in specifically is very, very small. It's very hard to misjudge a nade, and it just rolls down. I mean, the vehicles will kind of help them to some extent, but ultimately, I think for DA, it's if you're going to stay your feet like that is sketchy. I'd try and find somewhere else and bail out, maybe even try and pull to the back side of this. There's a little kink, pretty much opposite side of where Metralius is. You can kind of lay up there. But it's whether or not VP are just going to hold those compounds and be able to see into that. You could try and park the vehicles and do something. This is okay, but again, if anyone were taking up residency in Watertown, which they are, and we've already seen players go down from there, like DA is clutching at straws here. It's just trying to survive in the best way possible, and ultimately, I don't really. This is something, you know what I mean? Just and again, it's better than nothing. That's the best way to wrap up DA's placement at the moment.
I mean, it's smart that they do extend it one dip further towards the west because of how Oath is sitting, and now Gen G over the top is helping them out. Let's see, next circle, it does go towards the southeast as expected. So for now, Rosok is going to be, and of course, keep in mind, everyone out there, next circle can go straight back into the pond. So we'll see. We'll see no rules apply for the next circle to come. It can be as brutal as it wants to be, and there is still plenty of open space in this circle that teams will have to fight for. And even though we didn't take that many casualties for the last shift, Sims, this one's going to be brutal.
Interesting. I don't know. I'm looking at this and thinking in my mind, is this the player, boys? Could you have not stayed in Rosshawk where you were and maybe hope for circle? Because if that circle goes to Rosshawk now, you know, there's still more water. They've got the one try to say they've gone closer to water, so late game. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how it kind of plays out for now. Virtus Prone is doing exactly that. They're sitting inside the shack and they are going absolutely nowhere. Freak of Freaks, run the dungeon gauntlet, boys, because every single person is going to try and claim your scalp.
They wanted it too. Oh, he roots and pops him off the vehicle mid-air. That was all the way down from the shack. With a mini as well, great shot there. Wow! An Onyx drive-by now attempting to take down. Oh, that he does succeed! That's one thing that these Gen G players have really been doing great, is the drive-by. Snakers, though, has an immediate response. Esther did find Rello, so Snakers is all that's left alive now for Oath. Gen G, still 2 players up. PO, solid attack coming in. Snakers down to low HP. There was a nade thrown forward, no damage done. PO wraps around the side. That nade is going to be a bit too far, but he does get the kill on the end of it, and the rest should be possible. But having said that, look at this. Na'Vi extending over the top. They heard the commotion. They want a piece of the action, but I think for Orange, he's realized now that it's a bit too late, and also they've got new company inside the city as well.
They do, but if there was a time to try and take out Gen G, if there was a time to keep this hillside clear, that was it. He saw it and just completely bailed. You saw Pio with the aggression just runs at him with a nade in hand. Stuff this, you want that spot, you got to fight for it. Same could be said if we come from Tiamba, full 3-man stack in the vehicles, all of them are here, and it's going to get rather messy. Evil Lee. We've had some casualties on one side of it, and then we move instantly. And again, this is what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be bouncing back between fights, left, right, center, 6 ways from Sunday, and all over the place. Evil Lee gets 2 players in Linshun and Lorena. Shrimsy on the side of T1 as well. Aqua5 gets found and down. Lorena gets responded on and is pretty much committed to the grave, unfortunately, with Evil Lee also doing the same. There's no response, excuse me. I completely missed that one altogether, but Yeah, this is just...
Where are you going, Star-Lord? There are no dips
Yeah.
available for you, buddy. Watch out, the vehicle is burning. Goat Margo, get away, get away. Oh, they're all realizing it. That could have been messy. Had they maybe lost 1 or 2, they could have allowed for another team to try and third party them. But yeah, T1, nowhere to go, liking that they tried to wrap underneath, but just not a whole lot he could do. And now Adder left alone. Let's see, next circle can go to the water. And oh, we're going straight into that open field west of Rostock. This is brutal. And this is why VP made the rotation they did. It might seem like a last resort play, but they knew that no matter where you put the next circle, we will be in. So they say we couldn't take the fight. There was nowhere good for us to go to with the previous one. Let's just go center now, allow for everyone else to fight each other, and then we'll have 4 alive late game and see if we can do something from there.
I'm trying to think in my mind if DXG just can IQ 9000 this and swim to the other side behind Rostock, because that falls completely off behind Rostock and you can't be seen. That nade is absolutely picture perfect! Oh my word! DA is just demolished instantly with no room for any response whatsoever. And Gen G just walked through them.
Wow. 2 good nades, 1 good bullet, full team wipe comes in. And you were saying it, Sims, those dips, they do grant you cover, sure, but they also force you to sit terrifyingly close together. And if you aren't constantly aware of the teams that are within your nearby vicinity, you can easily be in trouble. And safe to say, DA came in trouble very quickly. Their trouble also ended with them going out there in 13th place.
Infantry. Time to step up to the plate and defend this one. Well, it's not inside the circle. Both these teams are just slowing each other down. Tiggleton is a little bit late. Goes for the drive-by instantly out of the vehicle. It's a nice play to get an angle. Can try and respond in kind. Oh, he's not been seen. Up against the blue. Instant knock. And they're all going to have to run for this one. It's phase 5. Yes, it won't kill you instantly, but still, any tags whatsoever, you're going to be melted by the blue. They'll try and deny it if they get the pickup, but ultimately, this is just... This is bad. This is all kinds of bad. You've got to go. You've got to go. There's no time to waste here.
Longsker is playing this so incredibly well. The way that he's backing off, knowing exactly what angles to take a look at once he's making that run. His Strims are going to deny it. I mean, Infantry can't really go anywhere before they deal with Strims. So you can see they really want him to peek. They don't want to have to sit around here in the blue. Once it hits phase 5, it's going to hurt even more. Lots of damage coming in. Longsker is going to go down because of it. Damage and kill denied, but Longsker is taken down. Don't go for the rest there, Xiaoyang. Please don't bother. Just get the heals, get going, and sprint forward, buddy, because once it hits phase 6, you are going to be dead. And I'm thinking that he might actually already be. I don't see how Xiaoyang gets to run this one all the way through.
Yeah, he's just chucking meds. Like, really nothing else.
There's nothing you can do.
No, I didn't catch how many he actually had. Day Trader trying to run the same way what Division X did. I mentioned I expected these 2 players to run coastline because they are just occluded from vision. If they can go further down, now they've fired shots. That's the only problem because you have rung the dinner bell, so to speak, for MCG. Now they know someone is around that corner. Long K finds the mark and Fergus gets the second. They can't go too far because then you will come into clear vision. Then you will come into line of sight of E36 inside that building. So this little plan that they had, taking the coastline, this is all they've got. So it's got them into, top 10. How much further? I do not know.
That's your last first stage. Xiaoyang are going to make a run for it. They're going to try and shoot. I think he's going to try and shoot. You might as well do it now. Try and see what damage you can do. That's the last take. Down goes Infantry just outside of placement points. And I'm impressed. You know what? I'm impressed by these circles. We are forcing everyone to play down towards the south. They're caught in the edge of cities. We have 23 alive. And somehow, phase 6 has managed to go away where when it popped, there were only 2 players inside the circle. That's brutal. Next level brutal. Everyone's forced now to fight in the open.
Gen G, full send. What else really can you do? It's a full barren wasteland, and maybe they try and take coastline in the same... Yeah, I think it's the same principle as what DXG's idea was earlier on. All the smokes are going to be there, but because of MCG being on top of an open garage, so to speak, well, the cover's gone now. Vehicle just goes flying through the air. Pio and Loki are just left to completely open and exposed to gunfire. And that's the only thing, like, for DXG, if they maybe could have kept their head down and stayed quiet, then you potentially, and it's a big if, maybe get into position of where Navi are. It's just down this little hill is what they were thinking would be quite a secure position. Na'Vi now up against E36. This will be interesting. Utility's been committed. Presence has been noted if that goes inside. They just managed to get it around the corner. That would have been sick if Satu were closer to the door. E36 have the defense of their life in front of them.
Na'Vi, they're using practically all their utility, and somehow Satu not taking more damage with that one. Into Force trying to hold off here. Amanut finds the first one. Tap goes down, and this is exactly what Gen G wanted to avoid. Same type play as VP pushed up earlier. They wanted to just get away from the edge, let all the other teams fight, and then wait for what is resulting of it in the end of it on the other side. And right now they're succeeding. Virtus Pro, they did have to leave their shack at one point, and now they're trying to take the fight to Minx, the last remaining player for Tian, but they are already inside the circle, but with very little cover. Spiro finds one in route and goes down in return, and now back to Na'Vi, trying to make this push on towards Enter Force 36. They don't necessarily have to push inside, but they would have to deal with them in order to stay alive in this circle.
He puts one nade down and forces Amanot into the next room, then goes for the window next to it. The theory works, the molly goes up, and that should clip him. If the second player went for the res, it would have caught him also. Smokes are going down to allow Na'Vi's push into this, because Petrichor Road are wrapping. It's something to be aware of. If they run out of Rosok, then they're dead. So the only real safest way would be to try and get involved with the Na'Vi and E36. If they can clear them, they actually have some sort of map presence they could maybe work with.
You can see that Petrichor, they can't really peek over the top. They want to try in a third party, but they can't peek over with Multi-Circle Gaming and DXG shooting over towards them. Now, casualties come in from Virtus Pro. Every time they peek over the top, down they go. Spiro down to low HP, but Tulitz is using bandages. I mean, he was down to 1 HP as well. There's just not a whole lot you can do if you're VP player on that edge up against an MK in the hand of Tank once again. With everything considered, a pretty good game for Multi-Circle Gaming. Placement points guaranteed and kills to boot as well. Solid performance, and you can see Tanky knows it's a difficult one. He knows that there are so many placement points to find. For every couple of seconds, you can stay alive here.
Perfect gun to deal with. VP on the floor. Puts him to the grave with a Mark 14, and certainly with the level 3 gear in abundance. He might even be able to take the 1 versus 1 on long K should he catch him. All in the distance, Tank is still just, he's laying waste to VP. There's only one more of them standing, and then instantly he's just basically expelled all 4 of them. It would be quite sick. Nice little maneuver coming out of Petrichor Road. They know they don't have really too much to work with, so they're moving the vehicles out now and build themselves a bit of a wall, work off the back of it and work behind it. Spyro's got up close and personal, and his footsteps have been hidden by the sound of the smoke, so Tank won't actually know about this one, but as you can see, it's a mirror image. Both of them are laying down. Good job from Spyro to answer back and finally remove him, but the amount of damage that Tank did is devastating for VP. Senya's still looking up high. They don't realize exactly where E36 are going to be making their entry point to this one. They've worked their way outside the building, and ultimately it's just waiting for the safety of the smoke to be removed.
Yep, Senya trying to be the player, kind of the back foot of the team, preventing a potential push from Enter Force 36 through this way. He's completely flashed out, and he is going to go down. Senya falls to Satu's solid hold from the Japanese team here, taking their time, but the time has been taken. Now it's maybe been too long for them, and yes, they will go down. Na'Vi get the better of the best of luck, finds Satu in the end, so Enter Force fall in 6th place. 5 teams left allowed. Gen G, they did make the most of the push towards the center. This is what they hope for. At least we can get some placement points by going towards the center. VP will fall as well. 5th place for Spiro. And now for Petrichor, the 4-man team on the south side. They've played this one well. They played it slow out of the city, but they knew when to make the move towards the field. And now they have the numbers and the final circle.
But he's still looking for any beach dwellers that'll be lingering up against the edge. Probably clearly know that Fergus is there, and certainly with a shot. I mean, God, that did a lot of damage. Feeling just getting pretty... Ooh, okay. Thought he was... Yeah, it was a bit... Tell a show what 100% happened there. Thought he was going to go instantly for the molly into Fergus, but very much realized that Na'Vi's right behind them, so just panics and hits the deck. Never mind, an absolute perfect nade seals the deal onto DXG. Now it comes down to Nat. He just broke his ankles. All right. Fair play, Besto. Take that one.
2v4 now. PO did everything he possibly could to try and gain more points in what was a very much salvage type situation. Grinded his way to a few extra points with that final nade there. Now Petrichor 4v2, they know at least exactly where Bestelog is. They've seen it behind the rock. It's on orange to try and do something, maybe. You can see Petrichor's cover while they have the circle. They really don't have a whole lot to work with. Damage could easily be done towards them, and you can see they're low on ammo as well. On the flip side of that, Na'Vi trying to make the run on forward. Mammal throws one orange down. Now they know exactly where Bestelog is. That nade is going to seal the deal. And for Petrichor, quiet game initially, but they push out late. They hold the teams out, and they get themselves the win.